Hi, this is Mary Kopczynski, the CEO of RegAlytics, with your update on this week's 42,962 regulatory alerts from 11,577 agencies. And what a day to be recording. It's 80 degrees here, and I could not be happier about it. Spring is here. But so is a mountain of regulatory activity. The regulator of the week is Maryland. I found this very interesting. In direct response to the tariff environment, Maryland just passed a bill that's creating something called the Maryland Local Sourcing Portal. It's essentially a state-run online marketplace that's helping businesses connect with local suppliers who can provide alternatives to goods that are getting hit by tariffs. The idea is if you can't afford what you used to buy from overseas, well, Maryland wants to help you find a domestic substitute. Totally makes sense. It is a state government building regulatory infrastructure specifically in response to the trade policy, but that's totally new. What I'm also finding interesting is the initial draft compared to the final. The initial draft was called Consumer Protection Disclosures of Tariffs database, but now it's a sourcing portal. So I'm guessing here, but they may have been looking for less loaded language to prevent putting a target on their backs. And Maryland is not alone. Tariffs are generating tons of regulatory activity. One I want to call out specifically because I know a number of you have roots in the auto industry. Connecticut is moving on a bill that would require tariff cost disclosures on new car stickers. That means when you walk onto a lot and look at the window sticker, Connecticut would require to include an estimate of how much the tariffs are adding to the price. So yes, it's for consumers, but it is also a compliance headache for dealers and manufacturers that are selling cars in Connecticut. So if you are in automotive and you know who you are, that one is definitely worth watching. And then at the international level, the European Parliament and the European Council reached a deal this week on steel imports. And how to break this down so it makes sense. The U.S. put a tariff on steel so that there are fewer people buying it because it's expensive. So China has all this steel, and they're doing what is called dumping, which is to drop super cheap steel into Europe, and Europe does not like this because it causes the European steel to look too expensive. So Europe has now cut tariff-free steel import volumes by 47% and will apply a 50% customs duty on anything above that percentage, which just means we all are paying more for everything for no reason. Topic of the week, artificial intelligence regulation. 289 alerts, and it's just the volume is almost double what it used to be. The variety of sectors and the fact that states are not waiting at all for anything to happen on the federal level. California alone dropped a wave this week. 2 separate bills on AI in healthcare, including one that prohibits AI from making independent clinical decisions and requires patient consent before AI is used in a therapy session. A bill specifically regulating AI companion chatbots and safety risks for children, and a bill requiring state agencies to disclose when they're using generative AI to communicate with the public. Oklahoma passed the Oklahoma Responsible Technology in Schools Act that is actually requiring every school district in the state to have an AI policy in place before the 2027 school year. And Maryland, also our regulator of the week, passed a bill mandating that AI chatbots are used in its statewide 311 system. So this patchwork is proliferating like you would not believe. And if you want a good way to stay on top of it, RegAlytics does have an MCP connector, which means you can connect Claude directly to our data and just ask it what state AIs apply to your code. No exporting, no searching, just ask. And that's it this week for RegAlytics. We have the global supply chain of the world's regulatory alerts in one very easy to use place. If you need a solution for anything related to regulation, give us a call.